What marketing gems can we catch from eBay's leading fishing tackle seller? Sorry about the dad joke. Well, no matter whether you're a vet, a plumber or a seamstress, there are plenty. Let's get him on the line. Okay, no more dad jokes.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, so much more importantly, you're a motivated business owner. You love what you do. You want to build it into the empire it deserves to be. Yeah? And that's what we do around here. We help you do it. We give you sometimes a step-by-step guide on how to do it. But we take you deep inside the bowels of marketing and shine a spotlight on this very, very dark art that so many business owners think it is. Hey, if you're new to the show, yeah, that's what we do. And welcome. Big hugs all round. And if you're not new to the show, thanks for coming back for a little bit more marketing gold. Hey, big show. Yeah. We're joined by an eBay success story. Paul Nieuwenhuys, who has built a multi-million-dollar eBay business from a little country town, check this, called Jacob's Well. Now, I tell you that for no other reason than it sounds like a setting for a horror film. But I've got to also tell you, my chat with Paul is anything but a horror story. I think you're going to love it. And you don't have to be an eBay seller to benefit from it, let me tell you that. Plus, I got a motivational quote from that wonderful marketer, Sir Winston Churchill. Yeah, him. Now, today's show lovingly brought to you by the people at Key Person of Influence, which is the world's leading business accelerator program. So if you want to become an industry thought leader, I would suggest at the very least grabbing a free hard copy of their Amazon bestseller. It is a ripper over at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. And speaking of free books, you can grab a free one on my behalf over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. I've just finished recently Steve Martin's bio, Born Standing Up, and it is brilliant, especially good if you want to be a public speaker. Hey, as per usual, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling. Yeah, over here at the Small Business Big Marketing HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
Righto, let's get stuck right, and I mean right into today's guest. And as I raised the question up the front, what can every small business learn from a successful eBay seller? Well, absolutely plenty. My guest today is Paul Nieuwenhuys. He's the founder of a hugely successful eBay business called Hooked Online and Sinker. And we haven't had the eBay discussion on this show in any great detail previously. So I reached out to a friend of the show's, Paul Greenberg, who heads up the National Online Retailers Association. And I said, hey, Paul, who should we talk to and interrogate about all things eBay? And in a heartbeat, Paul suggested Paul. Yeah. And he was 100% right. This guy lives and breathes it. Maybe to an extreme extent. I will let you make that judgment. We'll have a little discussion afterwards. But he sells hundreds of thousands of dollars of fishing products each year. In fact, he's been around for 5 years. He's done close to $3 million US in total in that time from a zero starting point. Wasn't in e-commerce previously, just worked for his brother's business. I think you're going to enjoy this one. We cover why eBay versus not, just a basic e-commerce site, secrets to listing products and services on eBay, which we can all learn from, how to create unforgettable customer experiences and offer amazing customer service, which is much harder to do online than it is offline because things get misinterpreted sometimes, and why every business in Australia, actually the world, should have an e-commerce play as part of what they do. We also talk about work-life balance, which I think you're going to find very interesting. Now, stay tuned after the interview because I share my top 3 learnings, plus direct you to a blog post which Paul has shared with me where he goes into really micro detail about his eBay rise to stardom. It's really, really interesting stuff. I started off by asking Paul just how much does he love what he does?
I live and breathe it, and I'm addicted, hence the name Hooked Online.
Really? Is the name come out of your addiction more than the fact that you sell fishing tackle?
That is how the name came about. When I first started on eBay, I really was new to e-commerce. It was a great learning, like a great start. And my wife, I drove her insane. And that's where the name came from. I came hooked online.
What is the addiction? Because addiction's a big word and a very emotional word. So for you, what was it that just kind of hooked you? Excuse the pun.
I just got stuck on the computer for 12, 15, 18 hours a day. And the time just flew, as in, I'd go to start something and next thing 4 or 5 hours had passed and it really seemed like seconds. I guess the addiction was, as soon as I put products online, on eBay, you could see the counter going, that people were watching the item, that the page views were coming up, and then even better, of course, was the sales.
Hey, Paul, I've got to ask, mate, how are you in poker machines? Stay away from them.
I know that they rip you off, so I do I do stay away from them.
Right, because it's interesting, because your addiction was pre-sale. You just loved immediately the idea of sourcing product, getting it online, uploading it, seeing the amount of views, watches, and all that before you even made a sale.
True. Well, it goes probably back a little bit further. My brother was online for about 6 or 7 years, and he was always in my ear saying, e-commerce is the way of the future. But to be honest, at that stage, I was flat out turning on a computer, and it was when I went and visited him and saw how well he was doing, and to see orders rolling in at midnight, it just blew me away.
What was he selling?
He started off with a company called Cheap Chips selling memory cards.
Yeah, another good name.
But he found that it's people would upgrade their camera every 12 months or 2 years, but take the memory card out and put it in their new camera. So he sold that business and was looking for a consumable, something that would be replaced on a constant basis. So he came up with tea. He's now got a company called Adore Tea. He employs over 200 people. He's got a tea house in Canberra.
No.
And he's doing extremely well. And that's where it all started. I went down to give him a hand.
You got a taste for it.
I did. And then it was, what can I do? What can I do? And his advice was, be passionate, sell something that you know and love, work hard, and try and find something that's a consumable, not a one-off buy, so that you can get a loyal customer base. And I was running a boat hire in a little town called Jacobswell on the Gold Coast, and it just dawned on me one day. I'd seen these fishermen go out on a daily basis, and it was hook, line and sinker that would be constantly replaced.
Hold that thought. Your brother giving you the big advice of find something that you love and you're passionate about.
Yes.
Was your brother, because I actually asked this question of Nathan Huppatz at costumes.com.au the other week when I was out there. I said to him and his partner, they've got a $7 million costume selling business. I said, do you guys love costumes? And both of them said they have no interest whatsoever in costumes. How much interest did your brother have in memory chips and tea?
I don't think there was a huge interest in the memory chips, to be honest. Just something that he saw was going to make money. But tea, he was passionate about. He drinks tea, and after researching, it was not really, there was no one doing it properly online as such.
I just wonder whether the passion and love of the product is mission critical for an online business, because speaking to you sounds like you love the process, the uploading and the kind of just, all the systems and processes that go along with it. Speaking to Nathan, he's exactly the same. He's just a self-professed IT geek. And then you've got your brother on the other side who loves tea and is now making a decent living out of it. I don't know what the answer is, but it's certainly an interesting question. Do you need to be passionate about what you sell?
I don't think you need to be passionate so much about the product, but I think it certainly helps. We pride ourselves on personalising our service, and we really work hard on getting our repeat customers. And I think if you've got a genuine interest in the product that you're selling and a genuine knowledge on it, think that reflects back to your customers, and that's what keeps, we've got heaps and heaps of repeat business and customers that will even spend more for a certain product, knowing they're going to get the service and the backup if required.
I want to talk to you later on about service, because that is clearly for you a point of difference and something you're passionate about. But your brother says, find something you love. You've already got a boat hire business on the drink where you live, on the drink, so to speak. On the water. So you're doing it, selling fishing tackle online makes perfect sense. Why eBay? Why not an online store?
That's pretty easy to answer. Like I said earlier on, I had no idea of e-commerce, to be honest. To set up a website, I didn't know where to begin, and just basically Googling, how to set up a website, eBay would pop up. It was such a user-friendly system to use. It was just a great starting point. My brother didn't believe in it, but he had an IT team to back him up, whereas I didn't. And I was so raw to it that it's all self-explanatory. There's a listing template that you can start with, so you don't need a graphic artist to design something. It's all preloaded. So
a listing template meaning here's the questions we need you to answer. Put the information in and hit publish.
Correct.
Would that be different? We're talking 5 years ago, correct? When you started Hooked Online.
Yes.
Would that be different now, given the ease of use of programs like Shopify and BigCommerce?
Look, there's lots of other players out there now, and I've looked at everything, of course, because I try to keep up to date.
You're addicted, mate. You're addicted.
But nothing is as easy to use, in my opinion, as eBay. I mean, we now have a CMS. We're powered by Neato, which has all those features. But there are that many features there that for the novice, it can become very, very confusing. And I would suggest I've helped quite a few people out to get online, and that's just what I say. Start on eBay, because it provides you genuine feedback. Most people leave feedback. If you do the wrong thing, okay, it's disheartening to get a negative or a neutral feedback, but it educates you on where you went wrong and how to rectify where you went wrong, or how to fix the problem. Whereas a website, unless someone takes the time to email you and contact you on where you went wrong, you're never going to know. And that's where I guess you could, if you're raw to it, you could fail miserably by spending a lot of money and investing time into a website, and you're not getting that genuine feedback.
Okay, so tell us about your first sale. I think we need to go there. Must have been a very exciting time, Paul.
It was. Well, the first sale, I started on eBay. I looked through, because I ran my boat hire business from a tackle store that was owned by a friend. And it was sinkers. That is something that's a no emotion buy. It's a lead ball that you need to get your bait or your hook down to the bottom of the ocean. So I thought, gee, and they were really, really cheap to buy. They're sold in packets in different sizes, size 0 to 10 in a ball sinker. And I thought, gee, there's no one doing a mixed pack, because when I go fishing, I'd like, depending on the current and the depth and the species targeted, I usually used 4 or 5 different types of sinkers, or had 4 or 5 types in my tackle box. And I thought, I'll get a little tackle box that was on a clearance sale for $1, and I made a 60 pack of sinkers in 5 sizes. There happened to be 5 compartments in the tackle box. I listed it straight away, took a photo of it just with a 3 megapixel camera, popped it on eBay. Within a couple of hours it had sold. There was only a dozen page views. There was one person watching it, and there was one sale. So
and you're away.
I packed the thing up, and it only went about 30 kilometres down the road. The next night I got feedback off the customer, and it was glowing feedback. And I was like, wow, this is just incredible. I can't believe that, my little idea of this sinker pack, and that was the only item I had on eBay, and that really spurred me on and got the ball rolling. And I then made an 80 pack of sinkers. That was my second listing, and it also sold within a couple of days.
Right.
Yeah, then I started looking for clearance items so I could be super competitive. Now we've got just over 3,600 items on eBay.
Because, okay, so you're selling fishing tackle. eBay is generally, from what I hear, is shopped on price primarily. Fishing tackle, sort of a commodity, I don't know, I guess there's better brands than others and stuff, but how do you get your buyers to be less price sensitive and go, I've got to buy from Paul?
Okay, at the time of listing, we try and be the best price. However, in the last 5 years, things have dramatically changed. It's super duper competitive, especially on eBay. We try and provide as much we do provide as much information as we can. We don't just generically use what the supplier gives. We like to add our own little touch to it. We add as many photos. We do a lot of our own photography rather than just a single stock supplied photo. We offer 30-day returns, a money back or exchange. And they're all things that on eBay put you higher in the search. eBay's search algorithmic system is not just on price, unless you choose to search from lowest to highest price.
So can eBay index the copy that you're writing in the description, or just the boxes that you tick and untick when inside their template?
Well, we use a Neato template which integrates with eBay. So I'm not too sure there, to be honest, Tim.
Okay. So the algorithm, though, does take into account the fact that, hang on, that person's offering 30-day no-risk returns, that one isn't, we'll rank the one that is higher. Is that kind of the way it's going?
Yes, it is. And an item that's newly listed is generally pushed to the top by eBay as well, and it goes on the amount of impressions and to sales. So
you've got now thousands of items up there. You are offering all these sort of added value. But what you're doing, and it's what I hear a lot of businesses do, particularly not just online businesses, but businesses with websites, is that they're reducing buyer fear.
Yes.
Right? Is that kind of your mindset when listing something? Yes, definitely. It's like I say to people that ask me about the business, we're selling to an invisible audience. And when you search, for example, sinkers, there's going to be thousands of listings for the same product. So having a clear photo, a good description. Nowadays, it's not just price. People do look at the feedback. We pride ourselves on that. We've got 100% positive feedback with just over, I think, 90,000 transactions on eBay. So that people do look for that these days. If we're $10 and someone else is $8, but they're at 98% feedback, it's that trust and that they know that they're going to get. It's a massive advantage for sure, and that's difficult to maintain. I can imagine, and I want to ask you about feedback in a minute. But everything we're learning here that you're sharing applies to obviously anyone wanting to start an eBay business, but really any business, because it's like clear photos, great descriptions, interesting copy, guarantees, good feedback, testimonials. I mean, like, what business doesn't this apply to? eBay just seems to be this very concentrated marketplace that forces you to get all this right here and now. True. But it does. It explains it every aspect along the way, like it really does. And this is what's so good about eBay. Because of your views and your sales and your watches and your feedback, you can constantly monitor what's going on. If you list a product, let's say back to sinkers again, and you put them on for $20 and you've had 500 people view your listing and not one sale, well, generally that's going to be price first. And then I suppose you need to educate yourself a little bit there. You've got to research then and see what other people are selling that similar type of product for. And if everyone else is around $10 to $12, you're never going to get $20, no matter how loyal your customers are. Yeah, right. Hey, listeners, I'm speaking with Paul Nieuwenhuys, founder of eBay store Hooked Online and Sinker. Before I ask Paul about his secret sauce around marketing his eBay store, here's a brief word from our sponsors. Support for this show comes from Key Person of Influence, a structured business accelerator program for those keen to be an industry thought leader. Recently, I asked co-founder Glenn Carlson what led him to starting KPI.
78% of Australian businesses have less than 4 employees and they're in the service space. So doctors, lawyers, financial planners, personal trainers, physiotherapists. And there was nothing really structured to look after those people and help them accelerate through their entrepreneurial journey. And we have a very strong, and have always had a very strong affinity with those sorts of business owners, because we are those sorts of business owners. And that's what the Key Person of Influence program is designed to help people do.
Key Person of Influence, taking you from good to seriously great. For a free hard copy of their Amazon bestseller, visit keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. Hey, now, Paul, we're back.
Yes.
And let's dig a bit deeper into the whole marketing thing. You say you love to offer a warm, fuzzy, memorable online experience. Is there anything else that you do besides, getting your pictures right, your descriptions and all that type of stuff? Is there a live element? Is there an inbound kind of call centre or something that you have?
Yes, we've got a contact number on all our listings for any inquiries. We personalise our orders, as in our staff will write on the order, handwrite the person's name. So if you bought an item off us, we would have a good day, Tim.
Every single item?
Every single order.
Love it.
Yes, every order we personalise. And I think especially the older generation, they really appreciate to be called by their name. And it's not a generic template, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's handwritten, so people can see. My words are, our staff are trained to pack with love. I want that parcel to go out. I want the customer, when they grab their parcel out of the letterbox, to go, gee, it's presented nice, it's well wrapped. They open it up. There's a personalised handwritten note there. We also do include a very small free gift with every order, which we match up to the order. So if someone buys some hooks, we might throw in a little packet of sinkers. If someone buys spends a couple of $100 on a mixed tackle pack, we might throw in a filleting knife.
It's such a simple thing to do, isn't it? Today I received a parcel I bought on using my Qantas points. I bought a very nice pair of Bose headphones, Paul. I'm quite excited, by the way. Mate, they arrived and they was all neatly packed, but it was completely and utterly impersonal. Now, you could go, well, that's Qantas and they're using a mail house and they don't have anything to do with it. But imagine if they did have something to do with it. Imagine if they did, say, thanks for flying Qantas. We're so glad you're using your loyalty points to get something, you wanted. And I don't know, it's just like, to me, that there's a couple of additional steps in the chain for them that might cost them some money, but I'm going to feel a bit more emotionally predisposed towards them.
True, and that's what sets us apart. I mean, we sell brand name tackle. We don't import anything ourselves, so we're competing against the huge companies out there, and that's what sets us apart. We have to come up. That's e-commerce. We have to constantly evolve and to personalise as much as we can, and to try to provide that warm, fuzzy feeling. As you go into a shop and you go and buy a rod and reel, it's an emotional buy. You touch and feel the product. You've got a salesperson there that, well, most of the time should be good and treat you like a king. Mm-hmm. But online, they can't touch and feel. That they're giving you money, hoping that you're going to send the product, hoping it's going to be described, to perfection. And I figure if someone hands me, whether it's $1 or $1,000, it gives me the opportunity to personalise that and get that person to come back. The bigger companies spend millions of dollars in glossy brochures to mail out, and I don't know the exact stats, but probably half the people get that junk mail and throw it in the bin.
Oh, mate, there's a classic photo of you standing in next to your your letterbox, and you're standing over your rubbish bin.
Yes.
And you get it out of your letterbox and you dump it into the rubbish bin. I've got a PO box, and in the room at the post office where the PO box is, there's a bin. And guess what it's full of? Brochures, junk mail. It's like, I don't know, at what point, what it's just a numbers game, I guess, for the big guys who have got lots of dough to burn, Hey, Let's move on. Fascinating, because what I love about this conversation, Paul, is that the applications are broad. They're broad ranging for anyone listening. You have an infectious kind of personality around your whole eBay thing. How do you attract and retain staff who share your view?
We're a very casual business. We're open and honest all the time with each other. I give staff the ability to make decisions. I listen to their input. In fact, I ask on a regular basis, is there anything you think we could do to improve? Are there products you think that we should list online? We like to value add rather than selling just a rod on its own. We'll bundle something up, and sometimes, like one of our girls that works for us, Stacey, she's come up with an idea this week with a little soft kids tackle bag, and she said, wouldn't that be great for Christmas if you added a hand line and a hook remover and some other gear, which we've just knocked up this morning, and Lucas, my warehouse manager, will be taking photos of that today and doing an exhaustive description on it. And that's something that then, rather than someone buy a tackle bag, a tackle box, a hand caster, all in separate transactions, it's all bundled into the one package, and it's a personally made product. And that was a joint effort to come up with that concept, right down to where we lay the products out on our photography table and go, let's throw in a hook remover with that, and it creates a picture that tells a story.
Yeah, love it. Ownership of the staff, it's their idea. You're creating something that the customer wants. And I think I've told this story before on the show. I used to be the marketing manager at Flight Centre, and the travel industry are very good at packaging things up. And one of the things that I remember doing that was very successful was taking a number of elements of a Bali holiday, flight, transfers, accommodation, and the wholesaler threw in like a bathrobe and a spa treatment and a candlelit dinner, right?
Yes.
So we put all that into a package, but we called it the Bali Pamper Pack.
Yes.
And it just sold. It went nuts. And,
Yes.
Part of that was it was well priced, but giving it that emotional name seems to also work.
Yes.
So don't know whether you're doing that, but feel free to.
That comes back to the description, Tim.
Yeah.
To be as detailed as possible and try and do something that not everyone else is doing.
Totally. Hey, where are you at now? Wrap some numbers around it. I want to talk because shortly I want to move into like why doesn't every business have an online component? But where are you at now? 5 years down the track, number of sales, turnover, staff, products, whatever you can share, Paul.
Okay, in our first year on eBay, we had 500 products listed after 12 months. Last year we were at 2,500. Currently we're just over 3,600. We've turned over more than 2 million US, because eBay's in US dollars, in 5 years. I think we've done just over 90,000 eBay transactions, and then our website, of course, which is quite new, 18 months old, and that's starting to get some traction too now.
You have got a website, so you have got an online store.
Yes.
You are going to slowly move to that and away from eBay?
Look, eBay's been that good to me.
Yeah, but it's costing you a lot of dough.
I get that quite often, and I get some friends that are also in business that say, why don't you move off eBay, save the commission that you pay eBay and invest that into Google Analytics, for example. Look, what eBay does, it's got I think 4.4 million Australian users.
It's got traffic.
It's got traffic, and I mean, you really are kidding yourself unless you've got not even tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to climb up. I mean, there's so many businesses online, especially in my category, in the fishing tackle category.
Well, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. I'd like to talk to you in a couple of years' time and see what your response to that is. But I get it. There's certainly traffic. But I remember talking to a lady about 6 or 8 months ago. She had an online store called Three Bird Nest, and she was listed with Etsy. She was doing $80,000 a month on Etsy. She's now completely moved off Etsy and is running her business completely on the online store because of the fees attached. But it swings and roundabouts. I get it. Hey, you reeled off some pretty impressive stats. How does that make you feel to have gone from zero to hero?
incredible. It really is. It's been an amazing ride, so to speak. It's been a lot of hard work, but I love it. I love we honestly get every single day we get a personalised email to us thanking us for the product and the service. Even better is when we get phone calls. We probably average half a dozen phone calls a week. But we on all our orders, like I said before, we personalise. We handwrite the name, and we add a little gift that says with compliments, and we ask people to let us know if the gift is of use. So we get people ringing us up and saying, "Oh wow, those the key ring you sent us is my favourite colour," and they're just the little things that make it all worthwhile.
Yep. Bit of recognition. Tell me, we've got a whole lot of retailers listening to this show, Paul, many with what I call high street stores.
Yes.
Is there any reason why they shouldn't have an online e-commerce presence, either on eBay or just on their website?
I think it's crazy today not to have some type of online presence. I don't know if you've got time for a quick story here, but
mate, I love a story as long as there's a good funny gag too in there.
I'm not too good at those. but we're in our third retail store now. The second retail store I had was next to a lady who had a sewing business, repairing clothes and taking up hems and whatnot. And we're in a small country town, Jacobswell. And she said, struggling here. And I said, you should be online. And she said, you're kidding. Like, how would that work? I repair clothes. And I said, well, there's no one doing it. I said, you got to understand that online, where you are now, you're targeting an audience of 1,400 people live in our town.
10-kilometre radius.
Roughly. And people aren't going to drive 20 kilometres to come to your dress repair shop when there's probably one around the corner from them. I said, but all of a sudden you've got an online presence and you're appealing to the whole nation. She said, but who would use it? And I said, well, I said that to my brother with his tea, like who's buying tea at 1 o'clock in the morning? You've got the mining industry. You've got people in remote areas. People are buying online. So my example to her was, here you got these guys working in the Pilbara, making thousands of dollars a week driving a truck. They buy a pair of Levi jeans online. They get them back to their accommodation. They try them on. They're too long.
Always too long, those Levi's. Yep.
So how do they? They're not going to drive 400 kilometres on their day off and wait 3 or 4 days to get their jeans taken up. I said, so what I would do is I would set up a website. I would offer the service where you email someone a reply paid label. They pay up front for the postage and your service. And I said, and the price doesn't matter because the guy or the lady that's bought a $500 dress or the miner that's bought his $100 pair of jeans, if it's $30 to send those jeans to you, for you to take them up and send them back.
What about the measuring of the inside leg though?
Look, that would be up to her. I don't know. I mean, the customer would obviously have to supply, or roll
they'd have to say, look, bring it up a couple of inches or do, but obviously you can't do it. Did she do it?
No. And she's no longer in business either, which is a shame. But I mean, that's just one example, Tim. Any business can have an online presence, even if you're selling tractors that you can't send in the mail. I mean, people still nowadays most of our sales now, I think around about 68%, are done on a mobile phone.
I spoke at a Husqvarna conference a few months ago and speaking to one of the delegates there, and she's got a lawnmower business, sells Reid on lawnmowers. She listed some lawnmowers, funnily enough, on Gumtree for overseas listeners. That's sort of like a free, it's kind of like Craigslist, I suppose. And she was in Warrnambool. Someone contacted her from Geelong, so 3 hours drive away, because they'd seen the listing on Gumtree and bought it. And, could have bought the same mower in Geelong. God knows why he didn't. But, don't question people's buying behaviour. Just make sure you service it.
True. And that comes back to your product knowledge again. It doesn't really matter where you are these days. Obviously, something that you can post out is going to be more successful online. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of small business are your mums and dads, and they're probably, they're not young. And I think they get frightened about having a website and being online and monitoring it. But it's it really is quite simple these days, and doesn't cost the earth anymore to get a professional looking website. And you're missing out on anyone that Googles whatever product they're looking for. If you're not there, you're not going to be recognised.
Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? Did you have young kids, Paul?
Yes, I do. I've got 3.
How old are they?
The youngest is a little boy, Joel. He's 5. Then I've got a 9-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son.
So at some point, certainly for the 11-year-old, he's not far away from being able to sell something on eBay. Really, is he?
He has already.
Oh, here we go. What's he into?
He's sold quite a few things. Because I spend my whole life online on the computer. I have a home office, of course, so they come and sit with me, and I have the app on my phone and my iPad. So every time there's a sale, it makes the ka-ching noise.
You're kidding, mate. You'd need to put it on silent.
Sometimes we do, especially if we've got a daily deal or something, and you have 500 sales in well, our record was 300 tackle boxes in 184 minutes, so the thing's ka-chinging like crazy. But no, the kids get excited, and
so he's into it. Love it. But my point is, this is a business model that anyone can do. Anyone. True. And it's a business model that meets the changing landscape of how we live, how we want to live. There's freedom in this business model that you're talking about. I think, interestingly enough, and with respect, you've chosen not to take that freedom. You're a workaholic. Maybe you're creating freedom. Maybe your long-term plan is to go and drop a line in 5 years' time for 5 years. But
look, I have actually slowed down this year.
Have you?
Not so much slowed down, but I've reassessed things and prioritised. I had some great mentors that I met through the PISA that have helped me out there.
PISA being the Professional eBay Sellers Association?
Yes, yep. Correct. Yep. Yeah, I live on the water. I actually moved. I've got a house on the water, 1.5 acres, and that's where my warehouse is, and my retail store's 800 metres down the road. Obviously, I've got staff here all day, 6.5 days a week.
Do you feel as though you have work-life balance, whatever that is?
To be honest, no, I didn't. Over the Christmas holidays last year, I made that conscious decision that I need to change and need to spend more time with my family. 5 months ago, I moved just up the road to another waterfront place with a pontoon. I bought a little bay cruiser, or my son and I actually. He does a lot of work in the warehouse, and he saved up for half of it. And
your 11-year-old son saved up for half a bay cruiser?
Yes.
Give me a break.
Yes, he does do a lot. All 3 of my kids actually work hard. My youngest one just finished school holidays. As I said before, we do gift packs with every order. Yeah. He packed around about 2,000 gift packs over the school holidays, and that wasn't forced either. That's sure. Hey, it's not cheap labour.
Yeah.
No, they
Mate,
enjoy
you pack those 2,000 items, or you're grounded for a week.
Yeah, no, definitely not. They enjoy doing it, and we're all mad into our fishing. And so now what we do is I try and pick the kids up in the afternoon. And that's, again, the beauty of being online, because the sales go 24 hours a day. So now I sort of try and leave here at 3 o'clock the warehouse, leave the manager behind till 5, and we'll jump on the boat. And I've got my iPad with me. I can work out on the water. So the last 5 months, I've probably had more time with my family in the last 5 months than I did in the last 5 years. So
interesting.
I'm finally getting that balance back to where it should be, and really enjoying it. It's fantastic to, we go over to Stradbroke Island, we pull up on the beach there, throw out an anchor, the kids go for a swim, slide down the sand dunes, and I can sit there and answer emails. I can check my listings. It's brilliant.
Well, that's brilliant for you, and it's horses for courses, and to me that sounds like I don't know. I'm being judgmental here. Can I be judgmental?
Of course.
You can hang up. But, I don't know, if I'm sitting on the beach, the kids are running around having a ball, and they look up to see Dad on the iPad, I would be just flushed with guilt.
Look, yes and no. Again, I've got to get my priorities right, but it's not like I go over there and work constantly. It's I guess this is where that word addiction comes back in.
Yes.
The iPad chings, or it makes a noise when there's an email come through. And it probably sounds really terrible here, but I don't want to miss out on the sale, Tim. So if there's a query there, and that's e-commerce today, if someone sends you an email and says, look, I want to buy 3 of these items, what's the best price you can do? As I noticed that the postage is included in each item, which is, say, $10 each. Well, I want to respond there and then and get that sale and say, look, I can take $20 off if you commit to buying 3.
Are you not able to outsource that kind of decision?
Yes, I do. Lucas, my manager, he's on call as well all the time. He's also loves his job and loves this industry. So, we share that, and it's not constant, you know what I mean? It's not, and I do switch off. I mean,
that's not your kids squealing in the background, is it? Or is
no, that's a bird.
Mate, Paul, mate, I get it. You love what you're doing. Many don't. So far be it for me to discourage your approach to business, and I think what you're doing is, it's a modern world of business which more business owners need to adopt, whether it is eBay or just having that e-commerce presence, because I have a very strong feeling that the high street of today is very different to what it's going to look like in 10 years' time. I don't know what shops are going to look like. I wish I did, but we're already seeing stuff in Korea where people are taking photos of QR codes and, getting to... I'm digressing, but, it's a changing world and you're a part of it, mate. So thank you so much for sharing. How can people find you? Hooked Online and Sinker is your eBay store.
Yes, and our website's hookedonline.com.au.
You on Twitter?
We're not, but we are on Facebook.
You haven't got time for Twitter. You're on Facebook. I'd love listeners to hit you up on Facebook. What's that page? Just Hooked Online Fishing. But yeah, the easiest, if anyone wants to personally contact me, just go to our website, hookedonline.com.au. All my details are there. If anyone wants to have a chat, feel free to give me a call or send me an email. Thanks, Paul. Not a problem, Tim. Thank you. As often happens after the interview finishes, my guest shares further wonderful insights, and Paul was no exception. So I kept the cameras rolling, so to speak, well, at least the microphone rolling, because Paul shared just how influential eBay has been and continues to be in helping grow his business. Check this. But our biggest claim to fame on eBay is 3 years ago, I was approached by eBay because of our name, Hooked Online, and we got invited to participate in the Deals program, which is homepage exposure. And today we've got a daily deal on a Plano 300-piece tackle box, and I don't know because I've got my thing turned off, but as soon as that email went out at 10:05 Queensland time, within a minute there's a sale for that item. And, group buys are the absolute golden, the golden egg. We've had probably half a dozen just off memory. And they've all sold out within hours, 300 tackle boxes, 500 rod and reel kits. Now, that type of exposure, it's not just, there's a very low margin in a group buy because eBay like to see 50% off the RRP and free postage, of course. But that exposure, when, a couple of million emails get sent out and there's our name in lights, if it sells out, it works even better for us because the nature of people is, I missed out, and then they click into our store and then there's 3,600 items. Now, people that, a golfer that doesn't fish isn't going to open that email or look at the product. But the guy who fishes and misses out on that deal that goes to our store, again, I don't have that information. eBay would have that. But so many. What happens is on a daily deal or a group buy, our sales double, not just for the day that deal is on. It goes generally for 5 to up to 10 days that our business, our turnover doubles. And does your CMS also capture the email address of every buyer, so therefore so you can communicate with them off eBay? Yes. Yes. So that's how big's your list? Last time, and it's a while ago, and we haven't even started to exploit that. But I'd say we've got over 150,000 email addresses. Which mate, just send them one link to one episode of my show, will you? Yeah, it's this is where
I'm not educated enough there, Tim, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
And I don't mind saying it. I've still got heaps to learn. And Neato is just such a powerful, amazing platform to use. And
Yes.
we've only just scratched the surface with the features that are available to us. We can do a loyalty program. We can do, we can retarget. And these are things that I briefly touched on with Nathan, actually, at last year's PISA. And Nathan does a lot of work for, my main mentor is Sean O'Brien that owns Selby. He's down in Victoria. And Nathan does a lot of work for Sean and with Sean. So, I've just in the last couple of years, I'm really starting to get to know these guys, and Sean's just been amazing. He flew up here, I think I mentioned that in my bio, and went through my warehouse, and he was really hard and quite ruthless at the start of, what's your best-selling SKU? And I went, I think the 3182, or this, or that. And he said, no, that's not the question I asked you, mate. What's your best-selling SKU? He said, you don't even know, do you? And I said, no, I don't. To be honest, I don't. And then he gave me some formulas to use in Excel, and then we exported out of Neato into Excel and re-imported, and it just opened up my eyes. And we've cut our ordering down. I used to probably spend 10 hours a week walking down my aisles in my warehouse trying to work out what to order. And like Sean pointed out to me, Paul, you're ordering with your heart and with your gut. He said, you need to do a proper SKU analysis. Like, isn't that available on Neato? And I said, yes, it is, but I've never used it. So he spent the whole day here, and we did a priority list, and I implemented that, and I stayed in touch. Like, I had a 1 month, 3 month, 6 month and 12 month list. And I emailed that back to him, and that's what, again, makes me love e-commerce, Tim, is that people are willing to share in this industry and to trade information. I think because it's so new, there are no real books on it as such. There is, it's not like doing a law degree where everything's black and white. This is all so new, and I think it's the Nathan Huppertses, the Seans, the Timbo Reids, the Phil Lays.
Well, I think, your
Greenbergs that are
upside is
writing
huge.
these books.
What you've got is that you've nailed the process of uploading and optimizing products on eBay. There's this massive upside to what you're doing, which is starting to figure out, what do I do with those 150,000 email addresses? What content that I could be creating that engages these people so that I become, they can't live with their fishing existence, cannot live without me, because I've got videos and blogs and ebooks and God knows what else. Maybe even live events. Why couldn't Hooked Online and Sinker be running live events on this beautiful property of yours? I don't know. Who knows?
Look, I've got so many things in the pipeline. You touched on it before. I've got to get my family and work-life balance in check. That's my number one priority at the moment, hence I've moved. And that's getting there. That's almost there. And then, as Sean would say, and I think I even seen this in one of your videos on your site, about concentrating more on promoting the business rather than running the business. And that's a good question you asked me earlier on about, how do you keep your staff? And that's, staff love nothing more than to have their own responsibility without, if Lucas makes a mistake, for example, he's all nervous and I've done it. I said, mate, don't worry about it. You've made the mistake. You've told me. What impresses me the most is you actually know where you went wrong.
Yeah.
So it's a mistake. We're human. Ring the customer. Say sorry. Fix it.
Do it again and you're sacked, but...
Yeah. What I mean? And look, we make very, very minimal mistakes because we've got all that down pat, as in making sure everything is right. And again, Neato does that on our automated ordering system. It's quite hard. We're also in the process of getting a scan pack system in place, which is all integrated with Neato. We've got a Barcode Queensland customising a table and doing all that for us. Once I get away from there, then that's what I've got to, I can market like you wouldn't believe, as in that database I have is going to be so powerful.
Hey, what a good guy Paul is. I hope you benefited from that. And as I said at the top of that interview, you don't need to be an e-commerce business to see some value in the kind of marketing things that Paul's doing. I want to share my top 3 learnings, thanks to the very good folk at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo for your free Amazon bestseller. And here's another free book, head over to audibletrial.com/SBBM and you can choose one of 180,000 titles. Got to love that. Now, my top 3 learnings. Number 1, no matter what business you're in, get your fundamentals right when it comes to describing your products or your services. Clear pictures, consistent imaging, engaging unique copy, contact details, guarantees. Just make it really, really easy for people to buy from you through great descriptions. Learning number 2. Whilst we're on the business of making it easy for people to buy from you, consider adding an e-commerce component to your offering. It doesn't need to be for every product or service. Maybe apply the 80-20 rule where, for 20% of the products that are generating 80% of your revenues, make them available online as well. All right? And it doesn't have to be products. That was a great example Paul gave of the seamstress, a service provider. Loving that. Pity she didn't do it though. Learning number 3. What products or services could you combine to create a more compelling offer? I liked what Paul was doing with the kids' fishing kits. So what can you combine? What can you package up to add a more interesting offer to what you've already got? So they're my 3 learnings. Hey, do you reckon I went a bit hard on the work-life balance thing? I don't think I did, but I would like to hear your thoughts. Hit me up on the show notes. What did you learn? What are you going to action? smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, episode 275. Look forward to hearing from you. Winston Churchill once said, "Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm." I reckon Sir Winston would have sounded a little bit more regal, a little bit more, posh when he said that compared to the way I did. But you get the idea of the quote. I like that. Never give up. Hey? Ever. Well, maybe if it's really not working at some point, you go, oh, well, I might make a slight pivot. Hey, plenty of marketing gold coming your way. Next episode, we leave e-commerce behind and go to the other end of the marketing spectrum, where I chat with a fellow who's New Zealand's leading rural publisher to farmers. And there is plenty of learnings for everyone. We're talking old school, in your mailbox publishing. He's even received, how's this, Queen's Honours for his work in that area. Yeah, he's good, real good. And I think he might be one of the older guests that I've had on this show. Hey, be sure to grab your free hard copy of The Key Person of Influence Amazon bestseller over at keypersonofinfluence.com/Timbo. Free audiobook over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. Audio production for this show is done by my good buddy Daryl Delirious Misson. Music bed created by Lockie I Want to Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day Dolly. If you want to surround yourself with motivated business owners, then join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum over at crankmymarketing.com. And if you need a speaker for an upcoming event, I'm all yours, timreid.com.au. Until next episode, may your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.